Welcome to this afternoon's presentation. My name is Justin Bruce. I am the Assistant Director for Orientation and First Year Programs at the University of Rochester. Real excited for you guys to join us today. We have about probably about 40 minutes worth of material that we'd like to talk with you through to give you a little picture about what to expect over the summer, in the fall, and even into the spring, what it means to be a part of the orientation program and how what it looks like at the University of Rochester. So at the current time, I just want to introduce you to one quick feature that is going on. There is a Q&A feature that you can utilize to ask questions during the course of this program. That feature, any question you ask, we will be working behind the scenes to answer live, and we have a number of people behind the scenes doing that. But definitely get your questions out there, but also look at some of the questions other people are asking. It may meet some of the questions, answer some of the questions that you have, and be able to work through some of that information. But really, first and foremost, I want to say welcome. This is a different format than we may have done in the past, but I think one of the things that I have been talking with a lot of the team behind the scenes is how excited we are to be able to engage with you and to really show some of the amazing things that Rochester is doing in preparation for your coming onto campus. So welcome. And I think the other side of that is congratulations. You have been working incredibly hard, however many years, to get to where you are today. You got admitted to the University of Rochester, and we have a wonderful opportunity to show you the opportunity that's before you and the steps that you can take to really making the most of your time at the university. So before we get too far into introductions, I do want to introduce a few of the members of the orientation and first year program team who are working behind the scenes to answer your questions. Their names and photos are listed here. There are also a few of our wonderful colleagues from admissions, and we are incredibly grateful for the work that they do, because without their hard work, we couldn't do our hard work. And it's definitely a team effort that we're really great to have their partnership in. At this point in time, we're not able to do direct introductions of having each person that's on the chat introduce themselves, but we do want to release a poll so you guys see some information. And this is just a quick poll to have you check in and say hi, or just let us know that you're there. So this poll is going to be regarding academics. So you'll see a poll pop up here, and feel free to answer. These are some of the 4 areas that you can study here. We understand that some people will study multiple of these areas, and especially as you're looking at some of the cluster requirements, you may be involved in all these areas. But it's really just kind of getting a quick insight into the group that we have here, and then also being able to set forward some of the conversation as we're looking ahead towards the rest of the day. But we're really glad you guys are joining us. We'll give you a couple seconds to answer that poll, and then we'll go on from there. And as you can see, it looks like we got a decent range throughout engineering, humanities, natural sciences, and social sciences. We won't be talking about program-specific information here today, but in moving forward, that is something that if you have further questions or if you're wondering more information about, again, feel free to toss it in the chat and we will get that information to you. The agenda for the rest of the day, we're going to talk about the objectives. I'm going to give you, from this perspective of the Office of Orientation and First Year Programs, how we design our orientation program at Rochester to really fit the individual needs of people that we see coming in. And that's both students and parents and families. So really, when a student joins the Yellow Jacket family, we invite their families as well to join, because it really is a community effort, and we hope to continue to build that community through our interactions with you all and through answering the questions and making sure that things are answered. I do, again, want to encourage, if you have any questions throughout the course of time of areas that we're talking about, please don't hesitate to utilize the Q&A box. The rest of the time, we'll talk a little bit about what orientation online options are. We're going to look ahead till fall. We will discuss some about COVID-19 and what the planning looks like on that edge. And then we will also, again, spend time at the end for any questions that we want to discuss over the course of this chat. So when we're looking at objectives for today, we're going to introduce orientation at Rochester, which includes the online orientation process and welcome week. We'll talk about both summer and fall and what the programming looks like that gets you engaging with the community. And as I said, we will be taking questions. Orientation 2020. So one of the big things that we're excited for and that you will have an opportunity to keep your eye out for as things are going live is that there's 3 really facets to the orientation program as you're coming to the University of Rochester. The first one is online summer orientation, and there'll be programs that'll happen through Zoom webinars. Hey, you found your way to the first step. Some of those will be offered live, but also there will be videos that will posted so you can follow up or you can rewatch them as needed. There will also be updates on the orientation website, which we will share at the end of this presentation. And we also be utilizing Blackboard, which is our learning management system. The fall welcome weeks will really be focused on getting you acclimated to campus, getting you get to know the systems and the structures that are set in place to help you succeed. And then with the first year in transfer series, our goal this year is to make sure that you have the tools you need to succeed academically at the University of Rochester and in the time beyond your time at the university. So just giving you a little bit of insight into how we plan orientation and the objectives with which we utilize. The first and foremost, the most exciting side is really joining the Rochester community. We believe that each individual that comes to the University of Rochester is going to get something from their education at the University of Rochester, but in the same respect, the University of Rochester gets something from those individuals. And I think that interaction and relationship is something that's incredibly special. And so we, as the orientation staff and team, find it incredibly important to make sure that you have an opportunity to meet current students and administrators, as well as other incoming students, to make sure that your goals are met and make sure that we're meeting what you're excited for and what you're really getting the most out of your opportunity here at the University of Rochester. This year, especially, one of our key goals is making sure that we're providing an opportunity for people's safe arrival onto campus. We're staying in touch with things on a day-by-day basis and really updating all of our plans. But as we're preparing safety and communicating that safety or communicating those plans are going to be some of our primary goals, which is one of the reasons why we encourage you to stay in touch with your University of Rochester email, as well as I said earlier, the website for the University of Rochester orientation. As we move forward, one of the most important areas is preparing you for success, as I mentioned. And so we're really working to help you design your Rochester experience. Each individual will engage with Rochester in their own way. And so we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to ask questions, to find your way, and to really make your path and make sure that your path is successful. So we're going to work behind the scenes to give you the tools to prepare for success. And then it's up to you to take them and make what you want out of them and really contribute to the Rochester community. As we talked about online orientation, starting next week on May 18th, you will receive an email, which is your enrollment packet. Included in that will also be your housing and dining information. So we encourage you to definitely check out that email, as that will be kind of your kicking off some of the enrollment information and leading you towards the orientation website and other information that you might need over the course of the summer. We do have a full summer planned with both options for engaging, as I said, with live material as well as with material that's presented over time. So if for some reason you miss something due to, hey, I have a class, or hey, I'm busy playing outside, whatever it may be, we're excited to offer this opportunity such that you can engage with material both real time as well as it develops over the course of the summer. What does that look like? One of the first most important connections that you'll develop is a connection with an orientation leader. This year, we have 6 orientation leaders who are working behind the welcome our incoming class. They'll also be doing a lot of social media engagement and different things along those lines. But over the course of the summer, we've really found that it's most important for you, as I said in the objectives, to create connections with current students. And this student is one of those leaders who knows a lot about the campus community and can make sure that all of your questions, even if they may not have all the answers to them, that they know the correct resources and the correct place to go to connect you for more information on those. So that's going to be one of your most important places, is to communicate with those, to read the emails that the orientation leaders may send out. Feel free to join them if they have Zoom meetings or Zoom gatherings, as well as feel free to ask them questions. And that's for both students and families. One of the most important things that'll happen is asking the questions that you have, making sure that you understand what the University of Rochester experience looks like. Because if you don't ask questions, we'll make sure that you get a decent amount of information, but that disparity is often something that we really want to make sure is answered. So definitely communicate with your orientation leaders. We have the orientation and university websites. The University of Rochester is keeping their website up to date, as well as our orientation website will be going live as of the 18th. So definitely come back and check that out and get a lot of information, both of what the summer programming looks like, as well as heading into the fall. You may have heard me mention Blackboard. For those who don't know what that is, Blackboard is our online learning management system. It's something that you do utilize for classes here at the University of Rochester. So we do want to make sure that you're getting an introduction to Blackboard, and that's where we house a lot of our pre-arrival orientation action items. Uh, the orientation form for orientation registration will be housed in your MyRock, and that will as well go live on the 18th. So we definitely encourage you to do that, as well as look in Blackboard as that becomes live. More information on that will be on the website and within the deadlines pages. Over the course of the summer, we plan to communicate using email, videos, and social media. You may already engage with the admissions office, and they do a great job with a lot of those things. Our social media will be focused with the student leaders, really talking about some of their experiences, some of their interests, and working to answer any questions that you might have. So similarly, we're going to end this presentation with some information about our social media, but please do give us a like, give us a follow, and check us out because we have a lot of great information on there that'll help you prepare for coming in the fall. Last but not least, we have two apps that we will regularly utilize, Guidebook and CCC. Guidebook is our orientation app, and that's downloadable right now. However, the content for the University of Rochester orientation for fall 2020 is not available. We assume that that will be available probably in mid-July would be my estimation. Don't hold me to it, but that would be my expectation of that timeline. The CCC is in a partnership with our Student Activities Office, and they have a lot of great programming that will actually be going on during the summer. We'll get into that in just a minute. But that's the app that we will utilize, and they'll have more information about that at their introductory information coming out soon. So what do the activities look like over the summer? Here's the 5 main things that we really are looking at for you to get to know as well as to be able to work with as we move forward. First and foremost, we want you to learn about what academics look like at Rochester. Within that, we will have different departments connecting with you and having opportunities for open houses for you to ask questions as you prepare to come onto campus and think about what your future plans look like. We'll have opportunities over the month of July to connect with advisors. And then in early August, we will open registration for fall classes for incoming students. That will be done online prior to your arrival onto campus. So definitely your orientation leader will have some communications about this, but definitely make sure that you are paying attention as your advisor communication may come out. We have moved to a model of 4-year college advisors that will be supporting you throughout your process, and they're really excited to meet you and have conversations about what your academic career can look like here at the university. Summer orientation online will be also completing required onboarding materials, and those will be displayed throughout the time on both the website as well as in Blackboard. And as I mentioned, engaging with fun virtual programming. So we are fortunate to have a Wilson Commons student activities staff that has developed a large programming schedule, including coloring pages, virtual events. If you haven't already seen some of their microwave cooking meals, they're definitely something that you should check out. But they've done a wonderful job sharing a lot of information and have a wonderful program set forward for you. So we highly encourage that you spend a little time checking that out after the Wilson Commons information session. But there is virtual programming that you can engage with before you arrive on campus. Similar to some of the questions that are being answered today, we also are making sure that over the course of the summer, you're getting your questions answered. So one of the major things that I often say is, if you have a question, it's more than likely that somebody else in the group or in the area that you're working has that same question. And if we're getting a question a few different times, that gives us feedback that, hey, we should have a larger answer to make sure everybody knows this. So anytime you have a question that you feel like has not been answered or may need some more information, please do not hesitate to email us and contact us, and we'll make sure to get that information out to you. Because getting information to people and making sure that they understand the true benefits of the Rochester experience are really important to us. The next slide that we have here is talking about Fall Welcome Week. You'll see it says tentative August 17th through August 25th. Um, we are working with a lot of different things, and we'll give more information about exactly what that looks like. But but I do want to say that it is tentative. So when we're looking at welcoming programming, move-in is the first and foremost in terms of our conversation. Um, we have in the past dedicated one day towards move-in. We are in consultation with the University Health Services and other groups on campus to see what options may be best for safety, as I mentioned earlier. And so most likely that will include a multi-day move-in, but that is regarding whether or not New York State opens up and whether or not guidelines in our area are also open. I'll go into more detail on that on the next slide, but I did want to acknowledge that that would be the case. As we're looking towards move-in, most likely if we are doing a move-in that's multi-day, the times and the schedule for arrival would be much more specific. So we do ask that as more information is being provided, that you keep in mind and ask any questions or concerns prior to just showing up, because it's a lot easier to handle things before people arrive than when people are on campus. We do have health check-in that happens with our university health services, as well as there are a number of different onboardings and communication with your own communities. So we have an incredibly strong residential community coming on for first year students. There's your resident advisor, the DeLion, and the fellow, all who have different roles. The resident advisor is kind of the general support person. The fellow is your academic support and resource connection person, and the DeLion is really the fun and the driving force behind a lot of the engaging activities on the social side. So you're joining a wonderful community, and we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to engage with them. If you're looking for more information about them, I believe on both the YouTube channel for admissions uh, as well as the orientation YouTube channel has a video introducing you to some of the residential life positions and some of the people who have held that position and some of their reflections on it. There'll also be given a mailbox key, and you do get a mailbox living on campus. Over the course of that time, we will be having small group meetings that are focused on general acclimation and meeting one another. So that's one of our primary foci, is that we are really moving a lot of the mandatory material into the summer months, but also with regards to giving you an opportunity to get to know one another as you're coming onto campus and really focusing on community building and having those interactions. We do recognize that there may be times, as I said, that material may be presented asynchronously, which means that it may not be live. So if you miss something, it's not that you're behind. It's just that you'll have an opportunity to watch that in a recorded version and be able to complete any necessary onboarding activities from there. Talking briefly about the first year and transfer series, these will happen over the fall and spring semester. And what it is working with departments in the arts, sciences, and engineering, as well as other offices across campus, and really specialized programs to make sure that all incoming students have an awareness of some of the amazing programs that they have the opportunity to engage with. Whether you're interested in something that's focused directly on research, whether you're looking at more co-curricular activities such as volunteering in the Rochester community or in the community at large, whether you're looking to try and whether you're looking to get involved with a club and organization, club sports, or if you're really into esports, or if you're into board games, anything along those lines, there's really a great community here at the University of Rochester that we have. And so we're excited to engage with you and provide you that opportunity to meet with offices across the campus and get to know some of the resources that they have available to you. Similar to our online information for the summer, we will also be collating a lot of this information into a centralized repository for you to get both information as well as a pathway that if you're seeing different things, it'll help you design your program and design the next steps in your future here at the University of Rochester. And as mentioned, this will include both academic and co-curricular planning. I think one of the major things that's important in a lot of our planning and a lot of our work is looking at both the holistic student as well as looking at the entire world and how we really engage and connect all the information that we have and provide the best possible opportunity for everybody moving forward. So I gave you a little preview earlier when we were talking about move-in, but I do want to talk about our plans and our preparation with regards to COVID-19. At the current time, we are working with the University Health Services and the federal, local, and state regulations to get a better understanding of what things will look like in the fall. As I mentioned, we are working with our University Health Services, and their recommendation has been a multi-day move-in. So while the 19th is the date that you will see, as the original domestic move-in. We are expecting that it will be the week of the 17th at the current time. With everything that we're seeing and with everything that's happening in real time, we are working to prepare for the future. So that's one of the reasons that it's most important to stay up to date with checking the online orientation, checking your email, and just asking questions to our staff, because we will make sure that whatever information we're seeing and however we're planning, that we're getting that information out to you as well, and that you're able to prepare the best you can. We do realize that people are traveling from all over the US, and so we're going to do our best to make sure that you have the opportunity to engage and to get the information real time, such that we can make sure that you're able to plan your travel here to the university and get things started. Additionally, one of our foci within that is providing the resources for success. So whether you are working on online orientation at home, whether you're coming onto campus as a part of arriving, one of the major things is over the course of this process, we want to make sure that any resources that we're providing, that all students have access to. And so we're working with our disability services, we're working with all of our technical services to make sure that any student concerns are addressed. If you have any questions or concerns and you don't feel like sharing them publicly here today, please do not hesitate to email the orientation account, which I will share in just a few minutes, because we definitely want to be able to connect with you and get more information and make sure that you have the information you need to be successful for joining the University of Rochester community. At this point in time, I do want to share the website, as you can see here, rochester.edu/college/orientation. Here is also the email address, orientation@rochester.edu. The Facebook page, if you'd like to like us, that's a great place to stay in touch with a lot of the information that we're sharing out. And as I mentioned earlier, the orientation Instagram, which will be a lot of content that'll be working with our orientation leaders, but really a transactional experience throughout everybody to get to know some of the Rochester community and some of the opportunities that you have that you can look forward to over the course of the summer. At this point, I do want to give an opportunity for questions and see what's out there and see what things we might be able to answer vocally in a verbal format versus the ones that are being answered in question and answer. So one of the questions that I'm seeing through this is about student activities and getting involved. One of the major things that we really celebrate at the University of Rochester is our Rochester traditions. And that has included a number of weekends that are specialized with regards to programming. We are in conversations with the Office of Wilson Common Student Activities to understand what that looks like. But first and foremost, the things that you should know about is Wilson Common Student Activities in general and some of the programming and the offerings that they have. That's why in our earliest portion of our online summer orientation, we will actually have an introduction by the office, by the Wilson Common Student Activities Office, where they'll preview both what their office does in general, specifically having some information about clubs and organizations, as well as information for the summer. So if you're looking to engage both with them individually or with the programming that they're offering, that you have an opportunity to. Some of you may have attended our admitted students bingo the other week. Hopefully you had a good time with it. If you didn't win, that's fine. There's plenty of opportunities to win. And there's really one of the cool things that I think the University of Rochester has is some great designs, some great things, some creative ideas that come out of their work. And so it's really one of those things that you celebrate in some of the designs that you get to see and some of the creative ways that student groups and student organizations get to express themselves. So it really is one of the amazing things here. One of the things that we've seen within the university as well is that approximately, and our admissions team would probably know the statistic a little closer, but probably around 90% of our students are involved in some sort of club or organization here on campus, which is, compared to a lot of our peer institutions, that's a significantly higher rate. And we're really proud of that fact, and we really celebrate and make sure that those student organizations have the materials they need to succeed. The process as well, as I said, one of the major things for me is making sure that you have an opportunity to engage with different things. And so really do make sure that the community at large has the resources to support you going forward. And that includes really making sure that you have opportunities to engage with what research looks like at the university. And so we do have an introduction to research that will go on both over the summer, as well as people are opening up in the fall, there'll be more information about research at the University of Rochester. I would highly consider both attending that as well as making sure that your questions are asked, because there are some first year students who will start research right away. There are some students who may not do research at all over the course of time, but on average, I believe about 70% of University of Rochester students do engage with research here at the university over the course of their time here. So I do want to reaffirm as well in the course of our process about the enrolling student packet. That is information that has not gone out yet. So if you're waiting on pins and needles to make sure that everything is going okay, I definitely think you can check your MyRock account to make sure that everything is going there. But one of the major things is that enrollment student packet has not gone out yet, but I would check your email, as I said. The week, May 18th, is when they should be coming out. And so keep in touch with your email and feel free at that point to look through that material and ask us any questions based off of what you're seeing, because we really are here for you and making sure that your transition process to the university is as smooth as possible. I saw one cool question that's come in is, what's a typical week of classes like as a first year? Um, the major conversation that we often have amongst our staff is really that for most people, if you're used to the high schools where you have to get up between 7 o'clock, or you have to be at school between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock, and your classes go straight until 2:40, 3 o'clock. You may have an after school sport, you have this and the other thing, and you're maybe home whenever you're able to. um, it looks different when you're starting classes at a university. So one of the major things are, there's usually different classes will be assigned credit hours, and we'll work with some information. You'll receive a first year academic handbook in early June. So I'd keep an eye, or I believe in June, yes. So keep an eye out for that coming out. But within that, there'll be some guidance on some of the information you may need. Then also, in conversation with your advisor, you can get more information about some of the recommendations they've seen about how students are successful. But the major thing is, you won't have as much class. There are some students who will try and register for only Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes. Or you may have all classes in the morning and labs in the afternoon. Or you may try and register for classes that are starting late morning, and so you don't have to get up as early. Some of that is thinking about what you'd like to see and how you'd best design it, and then looking at the schedule options and the course options, which are available through CDCS, which is our course description service. And that should be available to you shortly. When that information comes out, that'll be some of the things that are described in our academic side. So one of our first presentations for summer orientation is going to be with our academic team, with the Dean of Advising, and she's the director of the Advising Center, as well as the Dean of First Year Students. And so she does a great job preparing you with some of that information, and in collaboration with a number of her colleagues across the community. But really, we want to make sure that the more you're aware that the typical day may look different, but we really provide options for you to succeed. And it's up to you to really think about what you'd like to make through your time here at Rochester. And we as a staff are prepared to really help you through that process. We received a question that's looking at, will I get orientation materials in email, paper mail, or both? The primary method that we'll be utilizing is email. We understand that you get a lot of emails, and so sometimes it may be difficult to filter that out, but we will try and make sure that those communications are coming in email format, as well as if we send out communications, that we're providing them in an alternate space such that you can find them if for some reason you may have lost them in your email. But if there's important communications or important information, we'll try and share it in multiple spaces, just making sure that we keep you on your toes. I do want to pause here for a quick minute to allow another poll to kind of go forward. One of the things we want to hear from you as we're planning our orientation and trying to wrap our mind around what the incoming class looks like is, what are you most excited for coming onto campus? So we're going to launch a poll of what you're excited for. If you want to take a minute to fill that out, that'd be great to give us some feedback as we're planning some of the information going forward. Great. We're seeing a lot of great responses. So now we're sharing the poll results, as you see, and I think this is not atypical. And this is when we force you to select one. That's probably what we're going to see most is meeting one another. And so definitely encourage you two things to be aware of. There is an incoming class of 2024 um, Facebook group. So if you are an incoming first year student, we encourage you to engage with that. For transfer students, there's a transfer student group that has transfer students throughout the past few years. And so any questions you might have as transferring in, definitely engage with that. If you're a parent and family member, there's a parent and family group for class of 2024 that we encourage you to join. And feel free to connect and communicate with other parents and family members across the university who are preparing in a similar fashion to have their students come onto campus. Sometimes that group has parents who have had a number of students who have come to college. Sometimes this is the first child or the only child that will be going to college. And so there's a lot of great questions, a lot of great conversation that happens in there. And in collaboration with the admissions team and the parent and family relations team here on campus, we really, I believe, do a great job in kind of making sure that those connections are started even before coming onto campus. But hopefully we hit a lot of research questions and information, and that you're excited about really all those things. That the University of Rochester provides all those opportunities in one format or another, and usually in multiple formats. So we really hope that you take the opportunity to both think about what you most want to get out excited about, but over the course of time that you're able to check the box of all five of those: academics, research, meeting your peers, clubs and organizations, and generally exploring campus. I see a few questions about buying books and laptops. Those are wonderful questions, and a lot of those are probably best communicated with your advisor as you're coming in, especially if you're looking in the HAGEM or in the HAGEM Engineering and Computer Sciences. They might have more technical regulations or specifications of things that they're looking for. I think a lot of the information that we're seeing is we work with you and work with the best that there is, and making sure that there's programs available on campus. So there are a number of computer labs that are available on campus for student use, and we will make sure that those are resourced and have that information prepared for you going forward on that side. There's a couple of questions about what to do if your email or mailing address changes over the summer. I'm going to go back to this page to really focus on, as we said, email us. First and foremost, that'd be the first step, and then we will work with the offices as not to get too much behind the scenes, but your information is transitioning into the University of Rochester system as you enroll, and so that information we want to make sure is accurately represented for when you arrive on campus. So if you have a preferred name, if you have anything that you'd like to make sure that the university has, please don't hesitate to send that to us via email, and we'll make sure to work behind the scenes to get that information processed. All right. One of the other things that we're looking at is really looking at transportation on campus. There's been some great opportunities with regards to bike share programs that have come on. Obviously, with COVID-19, we're still tracking some of the regulations and expectations of what opening up looks like. But we do have regular communication with the regional transit service, as well as the University of Rochester has a great bus system to connect all of its campuses, and that includes the Eastman campus through their bus system. So there's a bus system that runs regularly back and forth to Eastman, as well as to other places within the university. There are also shuttles that are available often to run towards the mall or towards other shops if you need to get additional supplies or information. So you may see some of that information, excuse me, available on our shuttles page if you search in the University of Rochester. Obviously, we are tracking COVID-19, and so we expect that that may change and adapt as more information becomes available. Similarly, there is information there from parking and transportation, so I would check that out if you're looking about bringing a car onto campus. The regulations are relatively stringent, especially for first-year students. So I don't want to directly say a blanket statement because there are some students who have special accommodations that would require that, but just something to be aware of and to check out before coming onto campus. As I said, we really appreciate your time and your feedback. So over the course of time, if there's anything you need, if you feel like your questions haven't been answered today, or if you feel like there are still questions out there, we're going to hang out for a little bit of time. But I'm grateful for all your time and attention today. And I'm incredibly excited for for the opportunity to not just talk to you via a screen, but really to spend time getting to know each of you as you're coming into the University of Rochester community. Uh, as I said at the beginning, one of the most important things for me is that each of the community members that come into the university really make the university. Uh, the university is made up of the student contributions to it. And so one of the questions that I always reflect on before coming to a location, or as something's wrapping up, and congratulations as you're wrapping up your high school graduation or transitioning to the University of Rochester. But one of the most important things is, what do you want your legacy to be at the University of Rochester? And here in the Office of Orientation and First Year Programs, in collaboration with our larger university, we are excited to do everything we can to make sure that your goals, your visions, and your legacy is something that you're able to create at the university, and that it leaves a lasting impact not just on your future, but on the futures of those people that you have the opportunity to interact with throughout their time. So thank you again for your attention today. I do think that there are maybe further conversations that will occur. And one of the things that I would encourage you to do is to definitely check out again, our Facebook page, but also the Orientation 2024 or Transfer Group page. I know there's a lot of conversations about people getting to know other people's social media information, or being able to connect with people virtually. And so the 2024 group page is monitored, and only students who are incoming students are allowed in. Sorry, parents, or sorry, family members. So definitely something that I would check out, and do a quick introduction of yourself to say, hey, this is who I am. But a lot of people are being able to connect virtually through one another and get to know some of the Rochester community of who's committed and who's coming from there. So if you haven't already checked those out, I would highly encourage to do that. If you don't have a Facebook account, that's a wonderful question. I think starting with the Instagram on orientation is a great place to start, and just looking at some of the institutional options that are going on from there, and some of the information. So with our Instagram account, a lot of the things that we have going out will include connecting other offices or giving information about other people on campus. And so it's a great place to start. The other place as well is looking at the other web pages. So as you're joining the CCC, or different information, which is our student organization platform, there's an opportunity to see who the group leaders may be, and it also gives their emails. So if you have specific questions about a specific organization, that's a great time to reach out to that person individually. I recognize that this is the summer for them as well, so they may or may not answer your email right away or over the course of time, but it's definitely something that, if you're looking for creating specific connections, that's a great way to do it. And before we close, I do want to do one last poll, just out of for my curiosity, I guess. I'm curious to see, has anybody already visited campus? If you have, great. If you haven't, that's also great. We'll definitely do everything we can to get you oriented to campus. But it's definitely one of those opportunities that it gives us a perspective of planning. We recognize that some people maybe like, yes, I live 5 miles from campus, and other people are like, I live in Hawaii or Alaska, so I wouldn't travel that far necessarily in a typical year. And as we're looking at the spread, it looks like it's about even with a number of people either visiting once, some people visiting multiple times, and some people not visiting at all. So that's a really cool um, information, and we really look forward to making sure that, whether this is your first time on campus or whether it's your 400th, that you really have an exciting time. So we're going to make sure to do everything we can to communicate with you, make sure you know the safety protocols, expectations, and that you have an opportunity over the course of your time at the University of Rochester to make the most of your experience. As stated before, we are wrapping up the actual visible presentation of this, but I will leave this on for a few more minutes. If you have questions that you love to type in the question and answer box, we do have our staff members that are actively typing away and working hard to get those answers to you. So feel free to continue asking questions, but thank you again for your time, and thank you for your attention today, and we look forward to connecting with you in the near future.